The year was 2013. GTA 5 had just been released and the online mode would soon follow suit, going live 3 weeks later on the 1st of October. With the game being so fresh, the thought that one player could be so astronomically far ahead of everyone else just seems ridiculous. Perhaps you won't even believe me, but there was someone like that. Someone who in 2013 packed more of a punch than modern tryhards. Someone who could fight hordes of players at once. Someone who walked around the lobby as if they were seemingly untouchable. So who is our strongest player, and how could they be so much better than everyone else from day one? If you've watched Vanoss Gaming's GTA 5 content, you may have noticed something different about Lui. I mean, he seemed to be the last one alive whenever they did missions. He would effortlessly bully Delirious, and whenever the squad needed a vehicle like a tank or a new cool car for a video, Lui would always be the one to pull up with whatever they needed. So what, you may find yourself asking? Lui is just some YouTuber. Simply because he had more money and could afford more vehicles doesn't mean he was the best player in the world, nor does it even mean he was the best among his friends, just that he had more money than them. And to that, I say let's take a closer look at why Lui was seemingly on top of everything back in those videos. I mean, the painstakingly obvious. He's about 200 levels above all of them. It's not even close. Nogla is level 48 here. I mean, the game is your job at this point, and you aren't even level 50, while Lui is over level 300. One of Lui's more popular bits is his rivalry with Delirious, which has a combined 15 million views, where Lui just disassembles Delirious over and over again.
Stop panicking!
Why would I panic? You're the one getting mugged, punk!
I was not expecting that.
So, obviously, Lui is a bit better than his Vanoss crew compadres. He seems a bit more knowledgeable, and he's a bit better in the missions, and since he's got a higher level, it probably means he has a couple more hours than the rest of them. So surely, it's just a case of a big fish in a small pond, right? Well, one look at Lui's channel in 2013 would begin to make you wonder about that theory. And it made me ask myself the question, how good was Lui Calibre really? On the 25th of October 2013, GTA Online's first strongest burst onto the scene with this. In less than 4 weeks of the game's launch, Lui Calibre reached rank 100. The displayed dominance in this video ignited a fire within the community. The realization that there was something different about Lui, the fact that he could just go into a lobby and be seemingly untouchable, was a sight to behold. From his first Lui vs. the World video, he would create an army of people whose entire goal was to find out if they could kill Lui Calibre, thus initiating what I'd like to call the hunt for GTA Online's first strongest. To understand what I mean when I throw terms around like being the strongest, I have to make sure you understand what that means. Because GTA Online is a game of variation. Among the competitive game modes, you might play races or death matches, but the skills earned here don't really encapsulate what absolute strength really means. So you might be an incredible racer or speedrunner, but I wouldn't call you the best GTA Online player or the strongest. And the same goes for deathmatches, simply because these statements counteract each other. If there are two people the best in two different game modes, then neither one are truly the best GTA Online player, or as we're saying, the strongest, as they would be worthlessly below average at their counterpart's game mode. You wouldn't expect the best racer to beat the best run-and-gun deathmatch player. See, absolute strength means to be able to win no matter what, no matter who challenges you, how many, or the conditions of the fight. And so, the only measure of strength in GT Online is one where every facet of the game comes together at once. Free mode. Free mode is the main game, and through the lens of PvP, it's a battleground where anyone in the lobby can join in at any time. To be the strongest means to be able to navigate this battlefield light years ahead of everybody else. To come out on top time and time again, no matter if they used a tank, a jet, or an RPG. If you're the strongest, such things don't matter, because you're gonna win anyway. Now, what makes this whole thing interesting is that when I said anyone can join in on the battlefield, for Lui Calibre, what that really meant was everyone. With each video he posted, the concept of Lui versus the world seemed to become ingrained into the psyche of the early GTA Online player base. To be one of the most popular GTA YouTubers, any one of the 20 million plus people who saw the name Lui Calibre would have one question enter their minds. Could I kill Lui Calibre? One after another, challenger after challenger fell, and Lui's catalog of montages grew. And not just his versus the world series. Take his Squeaker Squad videos for example, where he would hop in voice chat and ragebait and taunt the entire lobby without any fear whatsoever. And when these fully grown men would come chasing after him, he simply slapped them away as if they were nothing. The fact was, Lui continued to prove his unrivaled strength with every upload. The only question was, how long could he keep this up? For a start, let's discuss what actually makes Lui Calibre different, and how is he seemingly so far ahead? Well, let's start with the blaringly obvious. At the start, I mentioned Lui's incredible feat of reaching rank 100 in less than 4 weeks of the game's launch, which just straight off the bat makes him statistically stronger than the majority of players because of how GTA Online's stat system works. See, you may take one look at GTA Online's stats from the player list and think they're a useless gimmick. I mean, flying and stealth, and how does diving make any difference in how good at the game you are? Well, you might be surprised to learn that these aren't just gimmicks, and having a lower driving stat makes it harder to drive. And the same goes for flying and shooting. But the most important stat here is actually a hidden one that isn't even displayed. See, your health stat is directly tied to your rank. Your health increases by 20 points with each 20 levels increased, maxing out at rank 100. So in a world where everyone is around or lower than level 50, this makes Lui's base power just ridiculous. Lui can literally just run around stat checking anyone lower than rank 100. I mean, just watching a man handle this aforementioned group of fodder who are all rightfully pissed at him is extremely satisfying. But just having more health being the answer would be boring, because it isn't. Just being able to stat check people doesn't explain how he was seemingly unrivaled. So what else? The game's only been out for a few months at this point. There's no way he's that much better in such little time. Well, watching Lui's gameplay with the knowledge of today raises a lot of questions. Like here, he risks going in close with the assault shotgun instead of just using the RPG that he has access to as a level 100. Or here, where he opts to get out of his tank to shoot people, making himself susceptible to dying at the hands of explosions, something he does multiple times and he almost dies to. Do these look like the gameplay decisions of someone deemed the strongest? Could it be that Lui was just a big fish in a small pond, and the fact that he got to rank 100 before other players made him appear stronger? I mean, the biggest standout that modern players will pick up on is that he doesn't strafe while aiming with his sniper. Strafing is just where you move side to side while aiming to make it harder for your opponent to hit you, but also to line up your shots better. It's the cornerstone of PvP, and so much so that anyone not abusing the fact that you can do it faster in first person than in third becomes fodder for players who do. So there it is. There's no way Lui was the best if he wasn't taking advantage of such a simple mechanic. Unless said mechanics didn't exist. See, on Xbox 360, there was no first person. The game was third person only until next gen. But more so than that, moving while aiming with the heavy sniper wasn't added until March 2015. For Xbox 360 that is, as the next gen versions came out with this as the default. It's only when you realize this that you'll see that when people joke about how bad Lui Calibre was in hindsight, that they've completely misread the state of the game. And in fact, when you unpack all the criticisms I listed, you'll realize they aren't criticisms at all, but are actually the most optimal strategy for the era. Let me explain. The first thing to remember is that what is ongoing at the moment is a hunt. When Lui Calibre joins a lobby, he might as well have a massive red arrow above his head that says, "Come and get me." Lui has to fight potentially endless waves of people. You may be fighting him for over 30 minutes, see that 5 other people are jumping him, and think this is your moment to get a tank. You'll finally take him down with this, so you go get it while he's distracted. Eventually, you roll up, ready to destroy this guy who's been fighting for over 40 minutes straight. You think he must be all out of ammo, snacks, and money. After all, he's fought over 15 people so far. This is gonna be easy. Only to instantly get hit by an RPG. For the past 40 minutes, Lui Calibre has been holding his RPG reserves, waiting for this very moment. My earlier criticisms that Lui chose the wrong weapon for the job were completely misguided due to playing in an era where everything was already figured out for me. For a start, you couldn't buy ammo from the interaction menu like you could today, which meant you had to travel to ammunition, walk through the door, and buy ammo that way every single time. Meaning every missile, C4, or grenade used had to be crucial. But next, and the most important one, was being cost efficient. This was an era with no heists. All players had was Rooftop Rumble, for maybe about 30k payouts a pop. And not to mention, Rockstar removed the mission replay feature, so spamming these missions were even more time consuming. This meant that you actually had to be careful with how much money you spent on ammo, because an entire mission of Rooftop Rumble only funded one fill-up on RPG ammo. Realizing these things is when it hit me. Lui was way f***ing better than I thought. If we were to put in the explosive spamming tryhards of today into Lui's era on Xbox 360, they would be completely helpless after about 15 minutes. I mean, you could be fighting this guy for over an hour and he would still be saving rockets in case someone in an off-radar tank tried to pull up and kill him. He really rarely wasted anything. Which leads me to the next thing. Awareness and game sense. Since we're talking about the first strongest, I'll draw a comparison to the greatest height of strength the game has ever seen. When asked what made Steani92 so formidable, anyone who fought him said the same thing. His awareness was out of this world. Fighting someone who is seemingly ready for anything at any time just feels impossible. And Lui is the earliest example of that concept put into action. For example, let's just look at how he plays the map on a completely base level. Let's throw him in blind and watch what he does. The first thing you'll notice is that Lui primarily uses a specific set of personal vehicles to get around the city. And the way he does that getting around when confronted by enemies is just nothing short of impressive. For a start, he's using vehicles with a hard back, or shell. If you played in 2013, you will know exactly what I'm getting at. The person driving the car could reverse towards you, mag dump you, and you would be completely powerless to stop them. Unless you used explosives, which you wouldn't because it's a personal vehicle. This is an era of cost efficiency after all. You want to blow it up? Sure, you can pay for it too, while you get put into the bad sport lobbies. Don't think I forgot to rectify why Lui was getting out of his tank at the risk of death and shooting players coming after him instead of just blowing them up. Well, this is Lui's impeccable cost efficiency skill on full display. He knows he will have to pay the insurance on these vehicles if he blows them up. If he repeatedly blows these vehicles up, it would mean he might not be able to afford full ammo, off the radar, a mugger, or even to call another tank at all. It would also mean bad sport, which is where your character gets a dunce cap and you get it put into lobbies with other bad sport players, making it impossible to play with non-bad sport players. But it was very much being cost efficient as it was not wanting to suffer in those lobbies. Let's go back and look at how Lui plays the map here. This guy's following him. Now, any other player might stop their car, try to get out and shoot him, only to risk a handful of things like A, the guy just runs you over full speed, or B, he has C4 strapped to his car and he's gonna take out you, himself, and the 6 firemen NPCs whose pathfinding glitched and are stuck walking in circles at the intersection next to you. Instead of making the risky decision, Lui knows he's chasing him and baits him down a narrow street. Then places C4 right on the corner and in the shadow, which is a blind spot for anyone coming in from that direction. This is such a simple play in the grand scheme of things, but you have to remember that Lui is doing this stuff when the vast majority of players aren't even thinking about what weapon they should be using, but instead what color they should make the simian vehicle before they deliver it. The answer is chrome. If you don't make that thing as ugly as possible, you're not doing it right. But now this play allowed Lui to keep his fast and versatile Zenturno, keep moving around the map, and to use the shell strategy if needed. This one move secured his continued advantage over the rest of the lobby. But how about on ground? Obviously you can't win every fight by just sitting in your Zenturno, and there are times where Lui allows himself to be careless and get blown up, like here.
This blows up.
Uh-oh! We have a tank in the lobby!
Go get out of it! Oh!
Where, because in this version of the game, unique player blips weren't a thing, you wouldn't know if someone was in a tank or not until it was too late. In the following videos after this moment, Lui seems to be far more attuned to the concept of that blip could be anything, but I feel like his carelessness comes from the confidence in himself that going down one lousy kill is meaningless, because in a battle of attrition, he's gonna win every time. So what happens when Lui is forced to play on ground? Well, this is where his awareness skill comes in, and why awareness is such a valued trait in GT Online. Lui is pressing down on the D-pad to read the player list, and he's using this to adjust his attack output and target selection. For example, earlier when I showed Concern at this clip, where Lui just rushed his opponent with an assault shotgun, which seems super risky, because obviously just being cost efficient all the time isn't optimal. What if you go to be cost efficient with the shotgun, and this guy just pulls out an RPG, not giving a damn about the price of it, and takes you out before you can even get close? Well, thanks to constantly checking the player list, Lui knows that this guy's level 60, and that he can't have an RPG because it only gets unlocked at level 100. With this, Lui concludes that this guy isn't enough of a threat to warrant the waste of his RPG. So Lui goes off radar, pushes his position, and stat checks him with a more optimal weapon. But let's compare that to here, another close combat space where you might think Lui is wasting RPGs, but he's actually doing something incredible. Here, he's clearing out C4 that this guy has placed on the only entrance to his position. But not only that, but Lui's on a time limit. He has 10 seconds to sneak this guy before he appears on radar, at which point this guy will be able to see him on the map when Lui is near the door and just shoot at it with his RPG or C4. Lui, only having one angle of attack, needs to use his max attack output in order to secure this kill. Because if he doesn't kill him now, he never will. But I want to bring attention to something incredibly interesting that Lui does all the time. Across every single piece of footage I analyzed, the first thing Lui does when a fight starts on ground is a beeline for a building. See, having the high ground in GT Online gives you an advantage about 80% of the time. And Lui must have realized this incredibly early on because he does it as early as month 2 of GT Online. Since Lui is always fighting so many people, hunkering down in a place like a parking garage or rooftop means managing these people much easier. If they can only attack from so many angles and only make so many moves, limiting that makes handling big groups a lot easier. Not only that, but being able to shoot down at the floor with an RPG right next to someone makes it far easier to hit them, and far harder for them to hit you back, thanks to splash damage. You can head glitch with the sniper, see the entire area, the list goes on. And the fact that Lui was just so on top of this strategy allowed him to dominate these big groups that were hunting him down. He's so good at it, in fact, that he will do things like cargo bobbing a tank onto a roof to combat buzzard and jet spammers. Or here, where he must have driven to the canal helipads, picked up a Frogger, and flown it all the way back over to this group of players to get onto a roof that would give him not only the best position to see all of them, but also the most cost efficient, as he's just far enough off the ground to be able to use his assault rifle, instead of going higher up, which would limit him to his RPG and sniper. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Now, I can already see arguments forming in the comments that the only reason I think Lui was the best was because he was a YouTuber, and that there must have been people better that we just don't know about. My friend Lucas HD343 was the best GTA player I ever seen on PlayStation 3, blah 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 blah. With all due respect, that is a case of a big fish in a small pond. And you're missing the fact that Lui is fighting in a massive f***ing ocean. Let's talk about environment, like in real life. Harsher living conditions makes a stronger spirit. It's just evolution, right? You will evolve to survive your environment. This is the hunt. Lui was being hunted every day by people wanting to test their skills against him. His environment of fighting hundreds a day made him stronger. Compare that to your little friend, who's probably just fighting like you and 3 other people. Lui's methodology of play is one that believes anyone could be an enemy, and his positioning is a reflection of that. I asked him on stream about his playstyle back in the day, and this is what he had to say.
Sush. If I'm being honest, no, I didn't feel like anybody like was close, because like they didn't have like that knowledge. Later on, as the years came by, like yeah, people understood like fundamentals a lot more, like 1v1 stuff. But like in terms of like really getting the grasp of the game, I didn't feel like people really did have it like that. Oh shit. Like Sush, the biggest advice, it's just like any other first person shooter, right? The biggest advice I could say for like first person shooters is to hit and not get hit, you know what I mean? And for GTA, you gotta know how to do things where you're not getting hit like at all. And also I'm drinking some mango juice. Yeah, you're not getting hit, but you also play around like your positioning, you know what I mean?
That specifically to hit and not get hit is what stands out to me the most. This mindset of Lui's makes so much sense, especially when you watch his sniping, which got a lot of criticism from the PvP community, even 1 year later after his Lui vs. the World series. Whenever you watch Lui snipe, you wonder, why isn't he shooting? He takes his time and just sort of sits in the moment. So, I mean, what's he waiting for? Well, when you realize what he's doing, it will impress the f*** out of you. He's waiting for them to try shoot him back, because he knows that they can't. Let me explain. As I mentioned earlier, you can't move with the heavy sniper at this point. So if these guys want to take aim at Lui, they're gonna have to stop, which is a way easier shot than trying to predict initial movements, which can be incredibly random. If Lui were to shoot willy-nilly and miss, it gives his opponent the opportunity to pull out a sniper and aim in. So Lui will wait and watch, because he knows he's not in any danger. At this point in the game, if you're aiming at your opponent first, you'll just win. It's why here, Lui refuses to run out and snipe this guy. Growing up, I couldn't understand why Lui didn't just kill him. Lui was definitely the stronger player, but he didn't do it. Instead, Lui displayed, to my feeble mind, every skill I've talked about so far. A level of skill incomprehensible to me at the time. Firstly, he reads the map and sees that this guy's already aiming at him. With this, he presses down on the D-pad to gather the information he needs and sees that this guy's level 95, which Lui knows means he has the heavy sniper unlocked. So, Lui plays it like a game of chess. He waits, baits him over and down a narrow street, places C4 in what will be his blind spot, and it's over before this guy even knows what happened. It's the know-how and knowledge to pull off tricks like this, the restraint to not ego peek the corner when he knows he's better. It's these things that separates Lui from the rest. The best mechanical players were all RNG run-and-gun players who only used assault rifle. Sure, mechanically they were great, but it's meaningless. While these guys were sharpening their claws against each other using only the assault rifle and pistols or whatever, Lui was sharpening his brain against the thousands of people who challenged him every day. This is the difference in environment, and why I find it incredibly unlikely that there was some hidden talent better than Lui at this point. Unless there was another YouTuber who, 11 years ago, would post free mode PvP content at the same time as Lui. Reconcile Me would post his first GT Online video on the 23rd of August 2014, almost an entire year after Lui vs. the World began. But what put Reconcile on the map was this. A video where he finds Expert Thief, who was a massive YouTuber and a GT Online OG. Now, no disrespect to Expert, as entertaining as he is, this is a video about the strongest. So, if Reconcile didn't absolutely wipe the floor with him, I wouldn't be mentioning it. The biggest difference, I would say, is that Reconcile preferred to use the marksman rifle. We get a clear look at this in the video preceding his fight with Expert, GTA 5 Online, Betrayal at Zancudo, where he ends up in what seems to be a 5 vs 1. The first thing you'll notice is that Reconcile is moving while scoped in. This is because he's using the marksman, which, in exchange for less damage and the loss of the ability to aim in, gave you the gift of movement and a faster fire rate. So, in theory, if you dodged what your enemy dished out and hit all your shots, on paper, this thing could be better than the heavy sniper. Now, in a 5 vs 1 setting, it is easily the better choice. Being able to move while multiple people were trying to kill you was just too good of an advantage to pass up. So, that brings us to the question of why wasn't Lui using it? I mean, watching Reconcile at this point, it makes you ask why Lui wasn't doing a lot of things. For a start, Reconcile abused outfits way more than Lui. We can see him using the bulletproof helmet, which, if he wore against Lui, would actually allow Reconcile to do the stat checking. As much as people joked about the bulletproof helmet, it actually did allow you to tank a couple headshots.
100% bulletproof.
But Reconcile would perform something simply divine that we never saw Lui do. And that was this. I believe this video, First Day in Bad Sport, posted on the 28th of November 2014, is the highest level of mechanical play we've seen up to this point. From the release of GT Online, Lui's unrivaled strength was just that. But for the first time, that comes into question. Reconcile Me is capable of fighting all these people and jets and is willing to change his outfit in order to gain advantages. Both of them deserve respect for their influence on the game. Reconcile popularized the Tryhard playstyle and showed the world that you could strike down jets with an RPG. Then, on next gen, he would go on to become even better, and for a period, was the one considered the strongest by the community. But there's a reason this is a video about Lui Calibre. If we were to again compare Reconcile and Lui to Steani92, you may think Reconcile's tryhard mechanics would make him more attuned to what is the height of strength. But in actuality, it's not mechanics that bridges that gap, but Lui's mindset. Steani was Steani because, he never got killed. Even against this aimbot and damage mod player who, if you appeared on his screen for even 1 second, he would insta-tap you. He only died 7 times. Because GT Online is a bit of mind over matter. The situations that Reconcile gets himself into here, Lui wouldn't be. Because Lui would have played the map very differently. While Reconcile is using RPGs at jets willy-nilly, going for this divine shot, Lui's going off radar to escape what is just factually a bad and disadvantageous position. Because in this video, as amazing as he is, Reconcile actually loses to these guys in the jets. It's why I think Lui's mindset of to hit and not get hit brings him closer to Steani92's height of skill. This isn't a dig on Reconcile. As I said, he was without a doubt mechanically superior. There is really no doubt in my mind about that. But does he get a chance to use those mechanics on Lui? After all, this is about being the strongest. If you get hit and die, it's all over, right? And this exact thing is why Lui chooses the heavy sniper over Reconcile's favoritism of the marksman rifle. Lui's sniping style is like a perfect counterattack, perfectly embodying his ideology to hit and not get hit. Only in that split second of weakness, when you try to attack him, will he strike, punishing you for breaking a rule you didn't even know existed. Something you can't do with the marksman rifle, since it only does a quarter of the damage with one bullet. I think GTA Online at this stage just so heavily favored a strategic playstyle over a mechanical one that I think it's just a bad matchup for Reconcile. GTA 5's free mode PvP rewards selfishness. It rewards you for blowing yourself up. It rewards you for running away to get a tank or a jet. And it rewards you for playing like what many consider to be a piece of shit. And I don't think anyone took better to playing like a piece of shit, and as fast, mind you, as Lui. Mindset-wise, he was literally 3 years ahead of everyone else after just 2 weeks of playing. Had the two of them ever fought, if you'd asked me back then, I would have said Reconcile in a heartbeat. But I think I'll be the first to say it. In hindsight, Lui Calibre was just way too good. Or some may even say, untouchable. Thanks for watching.